In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you should not say to a real estate agent when you're selling your home and the better sentence to use instead. And I may upset some real estate agents with this video, but I'm here to protect the sellers. So if you're watching this, I got your back. Let's get into the list. So the first thing you should never say to a real estate agent when you're selling your home is, "We are not in a hurry to sell." I get you, you don't want to sound too desperate, but this can backfire in two different ways. First of all, inside a realtor's workload, listings that feel like they're not too serious often get less urgency, less follow-up, and less push, less proactive strategies, so you could be left behind. Second, if buyers sense that you're not so motivated, they wait for a reduction, and in Vancouver, the wait and see mindset is real. So to make sure you're getting proactive treatment, the real estate agent that you hired is working in your best interest the entire duration. What you should say instead is, "We are motivated, but we won't panic." What is your 7 to 14 day launch plan? What will you do to follow up with buyers? What strategies do you use or have used in the past that have successfully sold homes like ours? And what would trigger a price or strategy adjustment? All right, number 2, never say, "I think my home is worth X," or "I think we should sell my home for X." So if you say the wrong number, a bad agent or an inexperienced agent could use that number against you in two main ways. First of all, if your number is too high, some agents may what we call buy the listing. So what that means is they will agree to your very high price just to get your home under contract. They can use your home to actually advertise themselves and instead of the listing and trying to get the home sold, and then pressure you into price reductions as the listing becomes stale because it's overpriced on the market. If you're a motivated seller, you definitely want to avoid that. The second way an agent could use that against you is if your number is too low, an unethical agent might support it so the deal closes fast, they get paid with less work, and they move on to the next listing. So you want to make sure that you're getting comparable listings. We call them comps in the industry. So the comps must be hyper relevant, same micro area, same neighborhood, maybe the same building, similar floor plan, exposure, if you're in a similar strata situation, amenities. And you also want to make sure that the sales are recent. Typically, we are aiming for 3 to 6 months old for listings. Anything older than that here in Vancouver could be too old or potentially a different market because we are subject to a lot of seasonality here in Vancouver and the market shifts pretty fast. So this is what you should say instead. "I've done some research, show me your comps and explain your pricing logic and which comps you refuse to use and why." This way you get the full picture, you make sure your agent is well researched and knows what he's talking about, and any recommendations when it comes to price are based in logic and they can prove it to you. All right, number 3, never say, "You are the only agent we're interviewing." The main reason for not saying this is because when realtors compete, you usually get a sharper plan and fewer vague promises. And for sellers, comparing realtors isn't just personality, it's looking at their marketing, their negotiating skills, their execution, their past experience, and their knowledge of the neighborhood. So even if you're just interviewing one agent, maybe it's a friend or a family member that you trust, what you should say instead, even if you're going to hire them, is, "We are interviewing a few agents. We'll decide based on strategy, marketing plan, and communication. Let's sit down and see what you've got for us." This way, they will take the opportunity very seriously and come in with a plan for you. All right, number 4, never ask, "What is the listing time frame?" and then defaulting to a 6-month listing contract. So never assume the standard listing contract length. So never assume that the standard listing length is your only option. If you're the homeowner, you should set reasonable terms. A very long contract can trap you if your agent underdelivers. In practice, what you really want is performance and accountability, and a clear exit if expectations aren't met. So what you should say instead is, "What's your contract length, cancellation policy, and what specific deliverables are guaranteed in writing?" In my listings, I typically do use the 6-month standard for listing contracts, but I always outline a cancellation policy, what deliverables are guaranteed in writing so the expectations are clear, and especially details around canceling the listing itself and relisting. So oftentimes, we don't leave a listing up for 6 months at the same price. We're constantly adjusting the contract anyway, so we typically, these listing contracts don't come to full term. But not every agent is the same, so you want to make sure what they are intending to do as far as deliverables go, cancellation policies, and your way to get out of the contract if you're unhappy with your realtor, so you can go and find another agent to work with. All right, number 5, never ask, is it a good time to sell? The better question, is it a good time for me to sell? Because the best answer depends on your timeline, your next move, your property type, and your risk tolerance. Every seller situation is different. Maybe you're selling to get into a bigger property, so you're upsizing. Maybe you're downsizing. Maybe you're selling an investment condo. Every situation is different, and whether or not you should or shouldn't sell should be up to the agent, a trusted realtor, an experienced realtor, to figure out the best plan for you. So what you should say instead is it a good time for me to sell given my next move and timeline? Walk me through the scenarios. And then a bonus tip, you can always ask, have you dealt with these scenarios before? Can you give me an example of what went wrong and how you dealt with them? Just to make sure the realtor you're working with is experienced for your specific scenario. All right, number 6, never say, you don't need to finish the presentation, I trust you. Never cut the presentation short. And what I mean by presentation, oftentimes a realtor will sit down with you, go through a full listing presentation, what they do to actually get your home sold. They'll review the market, the comparables, and pricing strategy, listing timeline, etc. It's already a red flag if the realtor you're sitting down with does not have a well-prepared and thought-out presentation for you. But assuming they do, never cut it short, because the main thing is you want to hear the full plan. If you don't hear the full plan, you'll assume things that aren't included. If the agent, for example, promises staging, media, paid ads, open houses, anything else, you want to make sure it's written into an agreement where possible. And I have come across this, especially when it comes to friends and family or a realtor that you're being referred to. You want to make sure you walk through every step of the process so you can ask any questions you have about the selling process and make sure they get answered. But more importantly, that they have an answer to all your questions. So what you should say instead is walk me through the full marketing plan step by step. What exactly is included and what isn't. And if you feel like something should be included or there's something that you've seen other agents do that you want to do as well, this is your time to ask. Treat this like a job interview, except you're the one who's hiring the realtor. Number 7, never say, let's hire you right now. You never want to hire on the spot without reviewing everything calmly. You want to make sure to review the plan, check examples of past listings, and then verify pricing logic that actually matches reality. In Vancouver, I'd add, check how they handle strata documents. For example, if you're selling a stratified property, showing access, feedback loops, offer strategy, especially with multiple offers. So what you should say instead is, we're going to review everything tonight. Can you send your plan example of similar listings that you've sold? And then we'll review and get back to you sometime tomorrow. This also gives you some extra time to come up with questions that maybe you didn't think of in the moment, which always happens anyways. And this is a big decision, so having a few extra hours or even a night to sleep on it can make a very big difference. All right, number 8, never say, here's my bottom line. Never share your bottom line up front. If someone knows what you'll accept right away, they may negotiate less aggressively because they'll already know you'll take it. And you know what? Not all realtors are like this. When I'm working with a seller, I'm always working to get the best possible deal so that they can walk away with the most amount of money in their pocket. So there are scenarios where you must disclose these constraints because it is really helpful for a realtor to be able to work with you to make sure we can get the numbers to work. But in most cases, especially early on, or if you're working with a realtor you may not know or trust, hold it until the real negotiations and the real offers start coming to the table. So what you can say instead is, I'll share my walkaway number once we start negotiating or until we get offers. For now, let's build the strategy to maximize the price and certainty. So in summary, none of this is about keeping secrets or treating realtors like the enemies. It's all about protecting your leverage and working together with a realtor to make sure you're having a real plan and they are creating a real plan for you. And I want to stress this, a good agent, an experienced agent, will never be offended by these questions or the answers to these questions. They'll respect them. So if you're curious about selling your home and what to expect from a realtor that you're hiring, let me know. I've got a calendar a link in my bio in the description that you can click, and we can go through the full selling process. You can see my listing presentation. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.